guys, this is Anastasia here with this week's Teen Mom Recap. And before I start this recap, I have some very exciting news. I've been reading you guys' comments so that there's issues about the audio and stuff like that, and I hear it myself that it's not the greatest. So I actually went and bought a microphone finally. I still have to set it up and stuff, so I'm not going to start using it until next week's video, but I finally got it. I'm so excited. My videos are going to sound so much better. The audio quality will not be anything to complain about anymore, so I'm so excited about that. In addition, I also got a backdrop for my videos. Again, I'm also going to start using it next week because I still got to iron it and stuff and set it up and get it all set up and whatnot. So that will be starting next week, but I got both these things and they're going to make my videos sound and look so much better, so I'm super excited for that. Anyway, moving on, let's get on to this week's recap. Leah is leaving for Hawaii. They don't say anything about Victoria going with her this time. I guess she's still grounded from getting impregnated last time they went on vacation. Jeremy was in town and he stayed the night. Leah refuses to say that they hooked up, even though it's been happening for like 8 episodes in a row. But Jeremy is not so, inhibited to say something. He flat out says to Victoria, "Yeah, I banged your sister's brains out," while holding his 6-year-old kid in his arms, mind you. Keep it classy, my dude. Oh, and Victoria's solution to her roots showing is to dye them red, so that's, one way of doing that. Ditzy Ditzy Chelsea is designing itsy ritzy diaper bags. And she talks about her new ideas. Chelsea is super shiny in this scene, so at first I thought maybe it was sweat, but then later her sister shows up looking perfectly matte, so no. It's just an entire pan of highlight applied to her face, I guess. She's over here looking like Rihanna in the SOS music video, except not iconic, just sweaty. Sean starts crying crocodile tears on Instagram Live that he hasn't seen his kid in a month. And it's just like, dude, stop. Kale informed Javi and Chris about her Hawaii trip, and they both gave the thumbs up. I mean, after all, no Kale in the country for a month sounds like a good time. But Jo didn't respond, and she took that as a yes and booked the tickets anyway. She tells her kids that she's going with Leah, and Lincoln asks, "Who's Leah?" Yeah, kind of starting to doubt the whole we're friends outside the show thing. Stella's 2nd birthday is coming up. Rihanna hasn't seen John since the trip, and things have been weird. They have an awkward FaceTime convo, where she invites him to the party and then gets slightly annoyed that he isn't excited enough and seems distracted. They were so used to being with each other 24/7 on the vacation that after the trip, when they just go back to their separate lives 3,000 miles apart, it's strange. She can't exactly pinpoint why. Chelsea keeps talking on and on about how she designed this purse to be a darker tan, but what she really needs to focus on is this orange-ass tan she has for her launch party. Or maybe it's just orange foundation, either way. Really harkening back to the early Teen Mom cringe days here, Chelsea. She admits that the design of the process of the diaper bags was really the CEO showing pictures of stuff that they already made and saying, "You guys like this?" And they say, "Okay." And then she says, "Great, slap your name on it and take 10% of the profits." However, she had an actual idea for a purse that she actually designed herself. I mean, kinda. She admits that she was inspired by a Hugo Boss purse that she had, but that's besides the point. She was actually afraid to tell the CEO about her actual purse design, which I think says something about how much control she actually has in this process. But she did contact her and they accepted it. I mean, good for her for actually going through with it. Sean FaceTimes his very clearly stoned out of his mind friend, who nods and just says, "Yeah, bro," while Sean talks about how he was a stay-at-home dad and how Jade did him wrong. I'm sure MTV cut out the end of the conversation, in which I'm sure his friend was like, yeah, so you're giving me free weed for this, right? John agreed to come to the party, but things are still weird. She invited Lewis and he didn't say anything. According to her, things with John are still awkward, boring, and nothing more than stale FaceTimes. Basically, it's at the point where if he does not move closer to her, the relationship will not move on, so they're at a stagnant standoff. She's made it clear that he needs to move, and he works at the post office so he can transfer wherever he wants. In fact, he probably even knows how to mail himself to her to cover the travel costs. Jo has an issue with Kale's vacay. She didn't include 4th of July in her text to him as she thought it was her week, and it wasn't, it was his. So she asks if she can trade a holiday, and he says no. It's so sad that these custody agreements literally sound like they're talking about property, like trade a holiday. She thinks he's just trying to make things difficult, and yeah, I agree. I mean, even Javi, world's biggest control freak, said, "Yeah, take that vacation. I wouldn't take that away from you." I don't know why Jo wouldn't want his son to experience Hawaii rather than watching him burn hot dogs on the grill on 4th of July. Jo can file contempt of court against Kale and she can get a fine or go to jail. Even MTV won't film it because it's a legal issue. She says, "If I have to sit in jail for my son to experience Hawaii, then I will." Talk about some first world problems. Also, Amber called, "Jail is her life achievement, Kale, and she won't have you taking that pride from her." Sean calls Jade from a random number. She complains that he never called to check up on Chloe until now, but I mean, you blocked his number. and I'm sure it was difficult for him to find a friend who would let him use their phone. She makes him promise to leave her alone and not do drugs, probably mostly leave her alone, to let him see Chloe. He agreed, and she sends her mom off to supervise this mess. Seeing as Christy also does a shit ton of drugs, I'm sure Sean could just slip her a little something under the table and she'd get along just fine with him, better than Jade ever did. Chelsea sits down at her launch party, very exhausted from all the wine drinking and posing in front of that grassy thing with neon lights. That's at every event now for some reason. A guy comes up and says, "We sold hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of bags, Chelsea." So 6 bags or so? Those things are not cheap, I checked. And Chelsea simply goes yeah, exciting. Brianna and John meet up at Airhead's trampoline park, which is pretty funny all things considered. She confronts him on not moving, and he says, "Nothing happened, what's your issue?" Well, exactly, nothing is happening. Eventually he says he'll move in a year or so, but needs time to figure things out. Whole lot of nothing going on here. I suspect he's waiting for her to offer to foot the bill for his move. Jade's mom calls Jade before she takes Chloe to see Sean. Of course, the first thing she asks if she can smoke a ciggy during the visit, keeping them priorities in mind. Eventually Sean meets with them, and when he goes to grab Chloe, she actually reaches back for Siggy Christie, which is how you know it's bad. I thought this was going to be a shit show, but thankfully it actually goes pretty well. I guess 2 negatives equal a positive or something. Sean does drugs and starts fights. Christy is a screaming, fight-starting psycho as well, so I guess all the white trash energy just kind of gets together when they come together and just cancel each other out. Ultimately, Sean says he doesn't hate Jade, acting like he broke it off. His brother lives downstairs now in Jade's house, which is questionable, and Christy agrees to give a good report. Kale picks up Isaac from Joe's, and she's basically "Okay, we got the kid, let's bounce." Tires of her car screech out of that driveway so she can get Isaac on a plane before Joe suspects anything. No, seriously, she never even confirmed with him that they're leaving. That should end well. And that's all for this episode of Teen Mom 2. Is Joe being petty by not letting Isaac go, and does Kale have a right to take him anyway? And was Jade right to let Sean see Jade with her mom supervising? Make sure to leave a comment down below, and make sure to subscribe for Teen Mom recaps every week. And of course, stay tuned for next week. I'm going to have the microphone set up, I'm going to have the backdrop set up, and I think the quality is going to go way up, and I'm super excited. Teen Mom Young and Pregnant also airs on October 22, so I will be recapping those as well with my new equipment. And hopefully, if things keep going well, I can even get a new camera, some lighting, so I'm very excited to up the quality of my videos a lot. Stay tuned.